Bryce mentioned, we are going to be in Judges chapter 4, continuing our series through Judges. And so, last week we talked about Ehud, the left-handed judge, and how he basically assassinated the king and freed his people, and led them through 40 years of peace. Well, now, tonight, we are going to talk about Deborah, as Bryce also mentioned, and Barak. And so, this is after Ehud's death, and the nation of Israel, can you guess what happened? They fell away again. They started doing what was evil in the sight of God. And so, God allowed the king of Canaan to come and conquer them. At this time, the woman, prophetess Deborah, was judging the nation of Israel. And she was what we would commonly think of as an actual judge. When the Israelites had a problem or a quarrel, whatever, they would come to her and she would give them godly advice. And so, the nation of Israel has been conquered. But they haven't entirely given up at this point. The king of Canaan has amassed a large army with 900 chariots of iron. You can imagine that as like tanks nowadays. Or maybe 900,000 tanks nowadays.
Horse-drawn trains.
Exactly. And so, this was a large force. And that's only their chariots, not their infantry, not their cavalry, or their archers, or whatever else they would have had. And so, this is a huge army that this king has, thank you, I thought it was a bit quiet, that this king has gathered to conquer the land. And so, the military leader of Israel at the time, Barak, he hasn't given up yet. So, he has been trying to fight against them and do whatever they can to stay their own people. Probably little skirmishes here and there, similar to guerrilla warfare. But he decides to go talk to Deborah. He finally gets the idea to go and get godly counsel. What a thought. And so he goes to Deborah and he asks her, what should we do? And so Deborah prays about it and she listens to God. God tells her to tell Barak to go and gather an army of 10,000 men and go up on this mountain and wait. Because the king's army will come to you. And so Barak says, well, if God says so, but you come with us, Deborah. And Barak is scared. He is afraid of the king's army. Even if he does gather this army of 10,000 men, that is nothing to the force of this king. And so he is afraid. And so he asks for Deborah to come as a sign of God being with them. And so Deborah agrees. She says, all right. And so Barak goes and he gathers the army, gets 10,000 men together, and they head up on this mountain. And in the meantime, the general of the army of Canaan hears about this, and he's like, these Israelites have been pesky in being conquered. They haven't wanted to be, and now they're massing an army, so let's go squash that out. And so he gathers the entire military force, all 900 and whatever chariots of iron and the rest of the army, and they all gather to squash out this Israelite rebellion. And so Barak, as I said, he was afraid, and so he asked Deborah to come with him. And so Deborah agreed, but because of his doubt in God and his fear, Deborah told him that this victory will not be yours. This will not lead to your glory. And so the armies clash, and the battle begins, and the Israelites, their puny force of 10,000 men, are overwhelmingly wiping out this huge Canaan army. And the general of the Canaan army thinks, uh-oh, I gotta get out of here. And so it says he dismounts his chariot and escapes on foot. And so he runs away while his army gets slaughtered. And so the general runs off a far distance to this tent that ends up belonging to the descendants of Moses' father-in-law. And so, just by happenstance, whatever, he hides out at their tent, at what would be basically their house, and he goes and asks them to, if anybody comes looking for him, tell them that he's not there. And he lies down to rest after running for probably miles. And so, as Barak and Deborah and the army of the Israelites conquer back the land and wipe out the entire force of the Canaan army, they begin searching for the general, because it's not done until they're all gone. And so they go searching, and they come upon this house and this tent, and they ask if the general is there. And it turns out that these descendants of Moses' father-in-law, they had brought him in. They were supposed to be loyal to the Canaanites. And so they brought him in, and they told him, it's all going to be okay. It's all going to be safe. Here's a bed. Here's some water. You're good. But as the general was sleeping, the wife of Moses' father-in-law's descendant grabs a tent stake and a hammer, and she goes and hammers that stake into the ground through the general's head. And so, pretty gruesome, right? Hollywood doesn't like the Bible. But she kills the general in his sleep. And so, when Barak and the army comes searching, she shows them where he has lied dead. And it was not Barak's victory, because he did not have the glory of killing the general because of his doubt in God. However, God was still on their side. And so, after the Israelites wiped out this huge Canaan army, this huge force that was overwhelming, it says that they continued to push and push and push against the Canaanites and against this king until they eventually conquered back their land. And under the judgment of Deborah and Barak, the nation of Israel had peace for another 40 years. So thank you. Let's welcome Zack.
Hello, everyone.
Dr. Rudy. Nice haircut.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, so I'm just going to go over a brief summary of Judges 4. So Israel does evil in the sight of God. Not much of a surprise there. And then Lord sells them into him, Jabin, king of Canaan. Israel is harshly oppressed by King Jabin and cries out to God. Deborah, prophetess and judge of Israel, summoned Barak and said to him, Has not the Lord God of Israel commanded, Go and deploy troops at Mount Tabor. Take with you 10,000 men of the sons of Naphtali and of the sons of Zebulun. And against you I will deploy Sisera, the commander of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his multitude at the river Kishon, and I will deliver him into your hand. Barak tells Deborah he will go if she goes with him, but not go. She does not go with him. And she tells Barak she will go with him, but now God will give Sisera into the hand of a woman. And thus showing God's glory. And so if I could just get a couple volunteers for a quick, short active illustration. Need somebody to act as God. I know that's a... You're not going to do a great job, but it's... But I'll take it. Roger, you want to come on? Okay. Thanks, Roger. And,
George Burns. I feel like George Burns.
and I need somebody to be Barak. Very original names here. Very original. Anybody? I'll take you. What's her name? Donna. Nice to meet you, Donna. Oh, sorry, just now I got your name. Okay, so I'll change one on mine.
Barak, that man is struggling with life right now. Go help him. While you were helping him, share the gospel with him.
Lord, I am too shy and unable to share the gospel with that man.
All right, that's all I want. Thanks, guys. Yeah, that was very... Thank you. All right, so do you think Barak's disobedience is going to stop God's will? His word from being done? No, obviously not. So God will fulfill His word with or without us. And so in Joshua chapter 1, verses 5 through 9, the Lord speaks the following to Joshua. He says, No man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. Just as I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not leave you or forsake you. Be strong and courageous, for you shall cause this people to inherit the land I swore to their fathers to give them. Only be strong and very courageous. Be careful to do according to all the law that Moses my servant commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may have good success wherever you go. The book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened, and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. So the Lord was with Moses and Joshua, and He's with us too. And now I'd like to welcome up Bryce.